And here we go again with another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast. My name is Phil Thompson.
And I'm Steve Lacy.
Steve Lacy, how are you doing on this another wonderful day in paradise here in Tucson,
Um,
Arizona? How are you?
Doing good.
Yeah,
Hanging in
good.
there.
Hanging in there. All right, good deal. I want to tell everybody before we begin, we don't usually run commercials, but I want to recommend that you check out mychurchdaily.com. We have a guest here that we're going to introduce in just a moment, but mychurchdaily.com is a new product that we've put out, and we've been serving churches and ministries now for 20 years, and we're excited about it. So get a chance, check out mychurchdaily.com. It will help you. You can actually get on uh, a the Amazon
Amazon
Echo
Alexa.
device. Yeah, you
Yes.
can say it. I can't say it because I have one in my office here, and it will go
You,
off and start talking to me.
you can push the microphone button and it'll stop listening to you.
Yeah, but it's far away from me. I can't
Uh,
reach it. It's too
all
far
right.
away. Can't do it. All right. So check out mychurchdaily.com. So what are we going to do today, Steve Lacy?
We have a special guest that goes back years with you, right?
Yes, we go back a long time
Who?
together. Lee Escobedo. Lee Escobedo is our guest. Lee, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Phil. Thank you for having me, and you too, Steve.
Mispronounced your name there. Sorry, Lee. So Lee was involved. I met Lee probably in the early '80s. He worked for a Christian radio station, which was a direct, nasty competitor of my Christian radio station. Just kidding. Weren't competitors. At least we didn't say that. And Lee worked for Family Life Communications, and I worked for Good News Communications. Yeah, Lee, I think did I have you speak at my broadcasting school at least once,
Yeah,
right?
I did a couple times,
Yeah,
Phil, and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And we never paid you either. But thanks for doing that, by the way. Uh, so
Actually
Lee,
paid off. It actually paid off, though. Thank you, Phil.
well, good. I'm glad. So Lee actually is an author. He's a blogger. Are you still reading for Sun Sounds?
When the pandemic hit, they took the volunteers off, and they have not put them back
Oh,
yet. So no.
interesting. Okay. But in case you don't know what is Sun Sounds, real quickly, just for people that may
Well,
not.
it's a reading service for the visually challenged.
Yeah. And you doing that for years, right?
It started in the early 80s, I believe, and I is when it came out, I had an interest in it, but I didn't do anything about it until I retired.
Yeah. Okay.
Like audiobooks or not? It's
Well, they have
reading.
audiobooks too, Steve, and
Okay.
in fact, if you go to sunsounds.org or com or whatever it is, you can actually listen to books or programs or current news.
Okay.
Cool deal. All right. So what we're really going to talk to you about today, Lee, is you've written several books, Letting God Love You, What's Life About, Truth versus Lies, Getting Unstuck, 7 Steps to Freedom, Things I Meant to Say. And you probably got some other ones out there. People can check it out on Amazon.com. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about getting unstuck because, as you know, we have a lot of people that listen to this podcast or watch it who are involved in church ministry. They may be on staff, they may be volunteers. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about getting unstuck. And so I'm going to let Steve Lacy tee off the first question for you
All
about
right.
this topic, getting unstuck, seven
So
steps to freedom.
so the first question, and I was asking Phil about this earlier, and I'll ask you, Lisa, you're the authority. What is getting stuck? How do you define being stuck?
Well, have you looked in the mirror lately and maybe said to yourself, "Gee, how did I get here?" I had a saying that today is the tomorrow that you were going to do so much about yesterday. And the last, let's say, 5.5 years of my radio career, I talked to people all over the country, and I began to notice that people were asking the question, how can I improve? How can I get better? My current life is a mess. And so, after talking to, hundreds of people, began to put a little composite together of how to get unstuck. And I put it in 7 steps. And in the 7 steps, the first step is, Steve, and you're not asking me this, but the first step is you gotta wanna. You gotta wanna change. You gotta wanna improve your life. And that was with a lot of people that called in. I try to get across the point. You gotta wanna. You have to, first of all, if you're having marriage problems and you're thinking about a divorce, you gotta wanna stay married, as an example.
So
I would
let me
think
jump
that,
in here.
go ahead,
Steve,
Phil.
let me, 'cause I don't want to let him get off the hook here this easy. Uh, Lee, I've been involved in ministry since the 70s, and I just recently got out of it finally. I mean, I work with streamingchurch.tv, and I still work with churches. But I get this question a lot. I get this from a lot of people I know in ministry that are serving God. They're involved in their church, and yet they still feel like they're stuck. I mean, these are people on staff, these are pastors, let alone volunteers. They feel like their life is not going anywhere, and yet they're involved in a church. They're involved in serving Jesus. I mean, why is this happening to so many people who I guess off the top of my head shouldn't feel like they're stuck?
Yeah, that's a good question, Phil. And I think, and this is just my opinion. I think what happens to a lot of us Christians is that we uh, learn how to play religion real well, but we don't learn how to have a relationship with Jesus real well. And that's the whole point of getting unstuck. You're letting God love you. That doesn't mean, having 5 minutes of devotions in the morning, reading something in the New Testament, something in the Old Testament, and just for extra credit, throw in a psalm. It means letting God love you, letting Jesus love you in every aspect of your life. And I think what is missing, if I may, in the church is that we do religion and we don't do the relationship.
So I was going to say that you gotta wanna. That's the number one piece here. I would think the biggest challenge is you gotta wanna is always going to be followed by I gotta do a bunch of work, right? It's going to be painful. It's going to be hard. It's gonna. And so I would think a lot of people would fall back into the trap. Because, yeah, I want to, but I'm not willing to pay the price. You have a feedback on that?
Well, I would just say, you remember the story in the New Testament, I don't know where, somewhere in the Bible. It says Jesus walked up to a guy and he said, who had been sick for 38 years, and he said, "Do you want to be well?" And I think we have to answer that question. That's really behind you gotta wanna. Do you want to be well or not?
So that kind of ties in with the second chapter of the book. You got to accept responsibility.
Well, the
Is that what
first,
you mean by that?
yes, Phil, that's good. Actually, the first 3 steps, you gotta wanna, you gotta accept responsibility, you gotta refuse temptations, attraction. Those are things that you have to do. You have to decide. Uh, do I want to do this or not? Do I want to accept responsibility? Do I want to refuse the temptation when it comes? Those are the first 3 steps.
So
And
what
when you
does this?
do, and when you do those, you're getting to the place where you're getting serious about changing, about improving your life.
So what? Elaborate more on you got to accept responsibility.
Well,
That,
okay. it actually leads into the fourth step. And here's my answer to you then, Steve, is this. You know, a lot of Christians have prayed, and I've done this myself. Lord, this is too hard for me. I just take it away. And then they don't do anything. They just expect God to take it away. And when God doesn't take it away, we wonder what happened. But what happened is that part of the responsibility is on us. We have to humble ourselves and cooperate with God's Holy Spirit, don't we?
Exactly.
You you're a blogger, and and I should probably tell people your blogging address. It's leenightradio.wordpress.com, and Lee, Leennite is the night, leenightradio.wordpress.com. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did. And then
Okay.
there's also leesnightradio.com, which is it's the same thing. I
Okay.
usually post the same thing on it.
Okay. So one of the things you say in your recent blog here, I feel like I'm prosecuting you or something, says you say spiritual life isn't performing religion, which is kind of what you were tying into here just a couple minutes ago. Religion is spiritually hollow. Religion won't satisfy you. It won't eventually satisfy you. You go on to say religion leaves you feeling immature. You practice doing more and more religion, and you, in the process, get weary, discouraged, and burned out. Jesus offers something radically different, and you need it. So here's my question. What does Jesus offer us, and how in the world do I get it? I thought I was getting it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I wondered about that myself, but I think I found an answer, at least for me, and is in John 10:10. You know that little section of John 10 where Jesus is talking about being the good shepherd. And at 10:10a, he says, "Look, this is what's going on in the world. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy." And then the B part, the 10:10b part, is the answer to what you asked me.
Can you read it? Because I can't remember what the second part of the verse is.
I'm going to tell you. That was a radio pause
Yeah.
so that you'll pay attention.
See, they did that in Family Life Radio all the time. We didn't do that where I was at. Everything we did in radio was quick, 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 quick.
I know
We actually played music that had drums.
no dead air, whatever. I mean,
Yeah, we had drums in the music we played. But anyhow, go ahead.
Yeah. And so the B part is this. Listen to me, Jesus is saying, I have come that you might have life and have it in all its fullness. That's the answer.
Okay. So I'm involved in ministry in my church. I'm feeling burned out. I'm feeling stuck. I'm hearing messages about Jesus all day long, so to speak. I'm exaggerating, but every weekend or whatever. But I'm still stuck. I mean, should I just take a few weeks off? Should I just reevaluate my life and throw out some of this stuff that I've been taught? How do I get out of this rut that I'm in so that I can get unstuck?
Yeah, you probably should reevaluate your life. You probably, should give up some of those Sunday school things you learned and, practice this thing with relationship to Jesus. Again, Phil, what happens is we get caught up in plain religion. Oh, I know how to do this. I know how to do that. If somebody offered you a 10-question quiz, you would say, well, I could pass it, on the Christian faith. You might even be arrogant enough to say, look, I know everything there is to know about Jesus. What are you going to tell me that's new? I'm telling you that we all need to work on our relationship with Christ. Make it intimate. We walked away from God in the Garden of Eden. What Jesus has done is made a way for us to walk back to God.
So in a daily practical sense, what are some of the things I can do to kind of get away from the religion and drive towards the relationship?
Well, I think once you notice that you're doing something really, why are you doing it? Why are you going to church? Why are you reading the Bible? Why are you having morning devotions? Why do you pray? Well, is that for points, to get closer to God, or you know what? It's probably to get closer to God, but those things, like I said, eventually won't satisfy you. So what you need is a relationship. You need that one-on-one with God. Jesus oftentimes got away, for example, and prayed, spent time with his Father. And the disciples didn't understand that. I mean, hey, you know, you should be having this or doing that or do it. But he said, no, this is what is essential. I need to get away and spend time with my Father. So do we.
So that means kind of centering down and getting rid of distractions and getting out of my routine and getting out to a quiet place where I can.
Absolutely, Steve. That's it. Again, I'll just say humble cooperation with the Holy Spirit is really the direction we want to go. If I say, well, you know, I did my devotions this morning, I did my Bible reading this morning, I had my prayer time this morning, I might mumble a few. Now I lay me down to sleep. You know, when I'm over the day's over, but that has not may not have anything to do with cooperating with God humbly.
All right. So getting back to our 7 steps for getting unstuck. You mentioned you gotta wanna, and then we talked about accepting responsibility. And what's the next piece of that in our 7
Okay,
steps?
and then you got to refuse temptation, distraction. I think what happens is that we get tempted and we think that we've already fallen, but temptation can be something that actually works in our favor and not against us. We just think that temptation is all bad, but maybe temptation has a positive. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to draw closer to God. Because for you to overcome temptation, or me, uh, I have to draw closer to God.
What's an
Okay.
example of temptation being a good thing? Give me just an example.
Well, for example, you know, in my life, being vulnerable, I had a drinking problem for a while. And uh, having a drink constantly was a thing that tempted me. And I could willpower stop it for maybe a day, half a day. Maybe I could even go a week. But at one point, the willpower falls apart, and I am left with the temptation that I'm falling to. The opportunity in it is this. Look, when the opportunity comes, or excuse me, when the temptation comes, it's an opportunity to draw closer to God.
So it's
So
kind
there's
of a
there's the positive part, Bill.
all right. So it's really exercising my faith, right?
It's
So I get
exercising that relationship, Steve.
all right. Okay. So things come up and so it's exercise. If temptation doesn't occur, then I'm not going to have the opportunity to exercise um, that relationship.
Okay.
So I see, and we're going to wrap up here in a little bit, but I see the whole thing, the relationship with Jesus is a very fluid relationship. And I feel like for years we're told what to believe, what to do. And I was a senior pastor for 8 years and an executive pastor for countless years. And I spoke, and up until last year, we're still speaking. Uh, and so we have this mode as churchgoers to sit and listen and take in whatever somebody tells us. And I don't know whether it's my Unitarian background, but I've always kind of been taught to question everything. And I don't think I did it in a bad way or cause division or anything, but I honestly would question a lot of things in my life. Well, why do I believe that? Is that what Jesus really said? Is that really what, the scripture says? And to me, it's getting back to really thinking for yourself, so to speak, in connection with that fluid relationship with God, not just sitting and being told what to do all the time. That to me is a key to getting unstuck. But again, I just want to keep reinforcing this. I talk to leaders almost every day in some capacity because of the company we do. We provide streaming video and other things for churches. And a lot of these people are stuck. They're stuck. And you would think they wouldn't be, but they are. And I think they're stuck because, as the things you just mentioned, we're just in this religion. We're in this hollow relationship and this religion that just tells us what to do every day, so to speak, instead of really being free to experience life.
Yeah, I think you're right on. You get it. The whole idea is to have a relationship, with God. I used to say, to give an illustration, I used to say, what's the number one problem in the world today? And people would tell me, well, it's politics, it's religion, it's women, too many women, it's men.
There's too many women out there.
It's the environment, whatever. And I said, no, that's just symptoms of the number one problem. The number one problem in the world today, I would tell them, is disrespect for God. And the thing on denominations, whether which one you mentioned there, but the thing a lot of people do too, and I've done it, is they just go from denomination to denomination to denomination, and they learned all the critical parts of whatever that denomination is, but do they ever really meet Jesus? Yeah, the religious Jesus, they do. I say you got to get rid of some of those Sunday school ideas of Jesus and develop that intimate relationship with God. And that takes time. When I am concerned about my business, do I talk to Jesus about that? When I'm concerned about my marriage, when I'm concerned about how I'm raising my kids, how much money to give, am I talking to Jesus about those things?
Yeah.
Am I listening to Jesus then when he answers?
Yeah. Breaking out of the mold, breaking out of the religion. All right, we're just about out of time here. Steve, it looks like you have something you want to say.
I'm the. We had 7 things. Let's get through them, right? I'm the guy. This is let's get through our 7. Can't leave them stuck at 3.
Well, they can buy the book, right?
There you go.
Getting Unstuck, 7 Steps to Freedom. Well, I'm trying to read because my microphone's in the way here, but you gotta continue to cooperate with God. Number 5, you gotta rejoice over the smallest positive result. Number 6, you gotta realize temptation will persevere. In other words, I guess it's always going to be there. And you gotta keep practicing. That's the 7th one. So the book is Getting Unstuck, 7 Steps to Freedom. We're talking with a legend here in radio, Lee Escobedo. You are. I mean, you were with Family Life for many years. People heard you all over the country, and you're still doing some stuff. He's got other books out there. So I guess the best place would be just go to Amazon.com and
Yeah,
Do a search for Lee.
just search Lee Escobedo and
Yeah,
you get it.
yeah, yeah. And Things I Meant to Say. That one I think is an interesting. Is that your last book? Things I Meant to
That's
Say.
Scribbles to My Grandchildren, Things I Meant to Say.
I think that sounds really good to me because life goes through so fast and we forget. But so Lee, we need to have you on again. But I felt like this was an important thing for somebody out there listening or watching because I just feel like we get stuck.
We do.
And we're trying to do the thing, we're trying to serve God, and we're doing stuff at our church and all this and that, but we get stuck, and then things happen and things crash and burn, and then we wonder what happened. So I think this is good stuff. So how can people get a hold of you, Lee, if they want to ask you a question or talk to you about something?
Well, you can email me at getting unstuck 7steps at gmail.com.
Oh, getting unstuck 7steps at
At Gmail.
gmail.com.
Yep.
Wow, oh, that's easy to remember. That's what the book. All right, good. All right, Lee. Well, look, I'm sorry we're out of time here, but it's good to see you. I'm glad that we got to reconnect. I'm glad you finally responded to my many messages. Thanks for doing that. You and Rick Livingood are hard to get a hold of, but
I'm happy. I'm happy to do it.
well, we're glad you're here. Thank you very much for this time, and I hope it helps some people. And Steve Lacy, thank you for your time today.
I'm glad to be here. Glad to
All
meet you,
right.
Lee.
All right. And I'm Phil Thompson. Folks, if we can help you in any way, if you missed all that contact information for Lee Escobedo, you can just send us an email, support@streamingchurch.tv. This has been Phil Thompson, along with Steve Lacy and Lee Escobedo for the Church Solutions Podcast. Take care of yourselves. We'll catch you again next time.